think we should be going live. Waiting for the link from Mr. Andy himself. And then I'll be able to monitor the chat. Give me 1 second, guys, if you are watching at the moment. Just give us 1 second to, let people come in. We'll get the chat up and running. I don't have the link for that yet. There we go. So I've got the link now from Andy. I'll just bring it up so I can see everyone. Give us 1 second. There we go. Got the link. I've got to mute. There we go. Close that. Give me 1 second. I'll just share this link with everyone. And then we should be good to go. Coffee. If you want to join, say hi. Livestream for 1 hour post. All right, I think we've got everything sorted. Let me just check. Yes, that link works. I can close that, close that. Team TT, okay, we've got that going. And the stream's muted. So hopefully you guys can only hear one of me in the replay. How are we all today? Where's everyone viewing us from? My name is Corey. I run the Designs by IFR YouTube channel. And I'm here representing TT to do a bit of some water cooling tutorials for the most part for today's live stream. And yeah, so hopefully you all enjoy. We've also got a giveaway prize for you guys at the end. So pay close attention to what we say throughout the live stream, because I am going to be asking you guys a question. And first person to answer this question will win a prize. So yeah, pay close attention. So primarily, as I said, a bit of water cooling today. We did have a bit short notice, so I'm sorry that I couldn't get a computer up here to show you guys, but I think you guys are gonna learn some awesome stuff today. Where's everyone watching from? I can see Amelia in the chat. I can see Benzie. Snipes, how are you today? Rohan, good to see you. M. Ali, how are you? And Mr. Andy himself, make sure you guys say hello to Andy in the chat. He organizes all of this for Thermaltake, so thanks for having me here, Andy. Hey, we got Grey Fox here. We got Tim in the chat as well. Good to see you. Yeah, a lot of people rolling in, so that's good to see. I think what we'll do first is I want to start off with hard tube bending, and I want to tell you guys a few tips and tricks that I've learned sort of over the years doing, tube bending, and how I managed to save a lot more tubing than what some people would, because a lot of people tend to underbend their tube run, and then they have to throw the whole tube out or use it for somewhere else. But if you overbend it a tiny bit, say it's a 90-degree angle, you can just chop a centimeter off of this side, a centimeter off of this side, and it will be the perfect length. So I'll take you guys through a few tips and tricks to, save on tubing and things like that. But we'll let a couple more people roll in. Thanks for hosting, man. You're very welcome, man. Very welcome. Lorenzo says, "G'day, mate. G'day, mate. How are you today?" I'm sure you can hear the Aussie accent. Hey, Klaas Muller. How are you today, man? Good to see you all. So what I want to start with is let's unbox we've got the Pacific hard tube bending kit right here. This one's pretty old. I'm probably going to get a new one. It is falling apart, but it does the job. So inside of this, if you're a beginner at tube bending, you want to make a hardline water-cooled build, it comes with all of these little gadgets right here. So help you create the perfect 180-degree bend You've got a 360 degree thing right here. You've also got one that does perfect 90 degree angles and 135 degree angles. So you can use these if you are new to tube bending. I personally don't use these. I actually freehand it. Sometimes I stuff up, sometimes I get it right. That's just all part of the fun, really. Also, inside the tube bending kit, you'll get the deburring tool. So that allows you to give it a nice chamfered edge so that it doesn't split any of the O-rings once you insert it into the fitting itself. So today we're actually going to be showing you guys the Thermaltake C Pro fitting. And so this will be a perfect opportunity for us to deburr the edges, and then you can deburr the inside as well, just to get rid of any, flakes of material from cutting. Then of course we have the star of the show, the tube cutter itself. Now, this tube cutter is really good for PETG. Do not use it for acrylic. It will crack acrylic tubing. Really easy to cut as well. So you just tighten it slowly, do a few twists around the tube, another tightening. Pretty easy, pretty straightforward. PC Works, good to see you. PC Works is actually a PC modder as well, guys. So feel free to go check out his channel. There's actually a couple of PC modders in the chat. It's good to see you all. Richard, how are you today? Hey Anzi, thanks for having Corey on the stream. Good on you, Benzie. Favorite PC modder right here. You're my favorite. Okay, so first of all, want to show you guys is how this tube cutter works. I might actually get a smaller tube for this one, so we're not wasting a lot. So it's pretty easy. Tube cutter like so. You can just loosen this down enough so that it can fit the tube in, just like that. And then you tighten it up. So now I've got it tight. You can simply either move the tube cutter or move the tube itself. Do a few rotations first. You want to do a few rotations to get the tube cutter actually starting to create that slit in the tube itself. Then you give it another tighten, only a tiny bit. You don't want to overdo it because then you can start, crushing the tube a bit. So just tighten it a tiny bit, do a couple more rotations, bit tighter, a couple more rotations, and eventually it becomes looser and it cuts off like so. So this is a very easy way to cut PETG tubing. As I said, it's not going to work with acrylic. It will crack acrylic. So do not use it with acrylic. So once we've got our tube cut, what we want to do is, you won't be able to fit your tube insert on the inside if you've just cut the tube, because it pretty much squishes it in. So you need to actually deburr the inside of the tube, just like so. And that'll allow us to actually fit this tube insert in. But before we put the tube insert in, I've got my lube here. This is dishwashing liquid. I normally use soapy water or just a bit of dishwashing liquid. It allows the tube insert to go in a lot easier. So, you can twist that a tiny bit, it'll go right in. And then we'll do a tube bend and show you guys how we get that nice and perfect. So I think that's in quite enough. Yep. So you guys can see that. Now, obviously, you want to clean the tubes out after you've finished bending it. But yeah, Charlie Brown, how you doing, man? Good to see you. Is this PC building? I'm not building a PC today. I'm showing you guys, firstly, how to bend some tubes. I'm also going to be showing you how to bend them to the right length, so you're saving the most amount of tube that you can. We've also got a giveaway at the end. We're actually going to be giving away a pack of RGB fans. And we're also going to be talking about radiators and fittings as well. Let's bring the heat gun over here and I'll show you guys how to actually bend some PETG tubing. Now, typically what I like to do, and this does vary from person to person, I like to keep an even rotation, but I also move it back and forward while I'm going like this. Now the reason is, when you start to bend the tube, it's going to create this curved radius. And so the tube extends, especially on the outside. So you need all of that heated up, otherwise you're gonna get flat spots on each side of the tube. So what I'm gonna do is, and excuse the noise, this is going to be pretty noisy, I think, but yeah, I'm gonna show you guys how I do it. You'll also notice that what I like to do is I like to keep an eye out for this tube. It'll start sagging. When it's at that point, I leave it on for another 5 to 7 seconds. I hold it up a tiny bit higher at that point as well. And then it's pretty much perfect to take off, and then I can make that bend. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm just gonna keep rotating it, go back and forth a bit. You don't wanna hold it right over the heat gun as well. Hold it above. And you'll be able to feel when it starts sagging by itself, under its own weight. So give that a bit longer. It still isn't sagging yet. So I can feel it starting to soften now. So it's starting to sag. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They create the bend. So that was about 5 seconds after it started sagging. From the own weight of the tube. Not only does it spin, it has RGB. I have the old Thermaltake P90 with the custom water cooling. Very nice passion fruit, very nice. Good stuff. PC Works is on Instagram. Anyway, that's our 90-degree bend right there. So I'm just gonna wait for that to harden back up. As you can see, I did put a lot of the dishwashing detergent in there. Lots of spares. How are we feeling there? It's still a bit warm, but it's, for this demonstration, I'll take it out now. It should be all right. So we've got our 90-degree bend there, and say we've got like a reservoir and you want this to bend into a fitting or something, right? So you like this. So you have a fitting here and there. A lot of people will try and bend this to the correct length by, you know, measuring from the reservoir to the fitting of the CPU. What I like to do is I like to give it a tiny bit extra on here and a tiny bit extra on there. So that means that all I have to cut off is 1 centimeter from this side and 1 centimeter from this side, rather than maybe accidentally underdoing the bend and then I have to throw the whole tube out. So that way you're only wasting 2 centimeters of tube rather than this whole tube run, which I think is something that everybody should be doing, you know, to save tubes and everything like that. So if I was to cut 1 centimeter off, like so. I bet that squeaky noise sounds really good. Cut 1 centimeter off the end here. There we go. And now we've got the perfect length tube run that'll fit perfectly. Now what you would want to do at this point is, after you've cleaned out the outside with all of this green goo, you can deburr the inside a tiny bit to get rid of, you know, any loose acrylic or PETG that's left on the inside. Then you can deburr the outside. Like so, and then that gives us a really nice chamfered edge for it to slide into the Thermaltake C Pro fitting without actually damaging any of the O-rings. So yeah, there's one thing. I've actually got one of the C Pro fittings right here. Lovely gold. Oh yeah, Thermaltake have new range of colors that came out as well. So we actually just got this gold one the other day. And we got the gold 90 degrees. They've got the rose gold as well, which looks pretty cool. They got green ones, I believe I saw, and blue, and red. They all look awesome. The cool thing about these fittings, and I don't know if all of you guys have used these before, but these fittings come in different sections. So you've got like the tube collar, you've got the part that, the actual fitting part itself, you got an O-ring here, and then in the tube collar itself, it actually has 2 O-rings there. And then you've got the locking collar. Now the good thing about these is you can actually put these straight into the water block, and you can measure your tubes up absolutely perfect because you can push them right against this fitting. It's a very unique design. I haven't seen it from any other water cooling companies, so that's pretty much why I like the Thermaltake fittings more than majority of the other companies. Pretty much because of that design right there. You can get that tube nice and perfect, slot it in, and then just do everything up. It's perfect. New colors, there we go. Gaming Noob, how are you today, man? Build PC with those. I've built plenty of PCs with, I haven't used the gold ones yet, but we have used, we've used like the black ones, silver ones. We've actually got some red ones as well. We've used some blue ones, and we've used some white ones. So, yeah. Hey, ZenMods. How are you, man? Good to see you. Another fellow Aussie modder. Guys, if you don't know who ZenMods is, he's also a PC modder. Does stuff just like we do. So go check out his YouTube channel, his socials. We've also got PC Works in there. I'm pretty sure I saw more people, but I cannot remember who I saw. But yeah, it's all good to see you. Vanch Mystery. I'm sorry, man. Oh, your name's kind of familiar. Yeah, I'm sorry, man. I can't 100% remember. Make a loop using fittings only. I've actually... So there was one time where I had all of these fittings, and we just unpacked a box of fittings, and we made like a big Thermaltake person just using fittings, and I capped off the legs, I capped off the head, and I had the liquid just running through each arm, and it was part of the loop, that was pretty cool. There was also another time where we got out all of our Thermaltake fans, and we put them all over the Christmas tree for the lighting. That didn't go too well because the branches of the tree went through the fan blades, so they couldn't spin. But the lighting was cool, so that's all that matters. IFR, soft tubing or hard tubing? What's your favorite? My personal favorite is hard tubing. However, we do have a soft tube build coming up shortly. In what country do you live? I'm from Australia, actually. What country is everyone from in the chat? eTechnics, how are you, mate? Good to see you, Andy. If anyone doesn't know who eTechnics is, he's also another YouTuber, guys. He does a lot of tech reviews and things like that, so go check out his channel as well. Yeah, he's got some awesome content, so yeah, go check it out. From India, good to see you. We've got someone from California in the US, we've got Netherlands, we've got Amelia Rosina, the one and only from the land down under. And we've got Mr. Thermaltake himself in the chat, all the way from Taiwan. Bushfire land and Spiderland. Yeah, you're pretty much spot on there. We've got Malaysia in the chat, Pakistan. 2 people from Pakistan. There we go. From Malaysia but live in Sydney. Oh, so you're very close to us. I'm that guy from India that messaged you on Instagram. Okay, welcome. Thanks, man. Love C Pro. It's probably the best fittings I've ever used. C Pros are a really good design, and I haven't seen anything on the market like it. I really love the fact that it has like the flat side there. You can screw this part in without the rest of the fitting, so you can get your tube lengths spot on. That's what I really love, the fact that you can just bend your tube, you can insert it like so, at the correct length, you can get it completely straight, and then just do it up and away you go. So yeah, I think the C Pros are a really good design, and you know, I haven't really seen anything like it. Also wanted to talk about, actually let me get out a reservoir. let's have a look at a couple of mounting options for how you can actually drain reservoirs. Now, I know a lot of reservoirs only come with one port down the bottom, some of them 2, some of them 3. But I wanted to show you guys how you can actually drain a reservoir. This one's actually a brand new one, that's pretty cool. So this particular reservoir only has one port down the bottom, right? So you'd have your inlet up the top and you'd have your outlet down the bottom. However, with the outlet down the bottom, you have no free draining ports. So you have to create that yourself. And so what I've actually been doing a lot of the time is I'll grab one of these Thermaltake 90 degree, 45 degree fittings. And I'll find these really handy. I always use these because it creates extra draining positions in the loop. And you can also use it to drain your system here. So if you put like this, say 90 degree on here like so, then you can have your C Pro fitting on the top with your outlet. So you screw that on. You have your tube coming out. You can then grab, say, one of these extender fittings with 2 male ends. You can put that in like that. And now you've got a drain port because you can now screw the drain port in like that. So you can have your tube going up to wherever it is going, to the CPU, radiator, wherever you want it. But now you've also got a drain port out the front there. So it's a pretty handy to know things like that. I have seen a lot of builds where people don't realize, you know, you can add these extra fittings on there and they don't actually have a drain port anymore. They've just got like I mean, you can just put the cap on the end and then, you know, undo it into a container and hope that you catch everything, but it's just so much easier with one of these little drain valves from Thermaltake. You just screw it into the end and happy days. So that's it. Oh my God, you can do that with those? Of course you can, of course. Because it's got the 90 degree port. So I don't know if you guys can see that. Let me just come a bit closer for you. You see it's got the 90 degree port coming out there, and then you've got the 45 degree. So you just cap that off at the end, and yeah, like it's pretty simple. So you just sitting there. Like you could even do it sideways as well. You can have your tube coming out like this sort of thing out of the reservoir, and then you can put your drain port out there as well. So, I mean, it's pretty easy, but I have seen a lot of builds where people don't even consider that, and then when it comes to draining, it's gonna be super hard. But funny thing though, one thing that I have thought of with builds that actually don't use a drain valve, like say they've got this 90 degree fitting in there, for instance, right? What you can do is you can actually get your, you know, your fill bottles, the white fill bottles. You can undo one of the ports up the top, make sure your fill bottle's empty, and you stick the tube all the way in to the bottom, right? But make sure, before you stick it in, make sure you've squeezed all of the air out of it. And then once you stick it in down the bottom, just release it and let the air, just let it do its thing, and it will actually suck up all of the liquid out of here. So that's another way you can drain the reservoir quite easy, and then you can slowly take it apart without, you know, creating any spill or anything like that. So it's pretty cool. There's lots of little different hacks and that you sort of learn over the years to make it a lot easier. So, Corey, hi Corey. Yeah, my name is Corey. Nice unboxing, thank you very much, Gaming Noob. CAF PCs, how are you today? Are you a AMD fanboy or Intel? I am both. I'll use whichever one, like, doesn't bother me. I don't lean towards one side or the other. I just use whoever has the best components out at the time for what I want to do. So for instance, gaming isn't my priority. Rendering and editing is my priority. So, you know, I'll probably go for the higher core count over the higher single core frequency speeds. Because the higher core count is going to help me out when I'm rendering videos and things like that. So, you know, Threadripper is right up my alley if I could get one, but they're super expensive. Looking at video, I'm confident I can build my person PC to liquid cool now. Thanks, I'm using all parts from Thermaltake, RAM, fan, PSU, and cabinet. Very nice, man, very nice. Money isn't the problem for Corey. Money is a problem for me. We don't earn a lot of money doing this. I'm working 2 jobs. Working on a scratch build for a friend. That's very nice, man, very nice. With you on that, yes. There's 90-degree fitting with the closed 45 and the open 45. Yeah, that's 100%. You can get the 90-degree fittings. I don't even know where I put it. Where did I put my 90? Oh, you can get the 90-degree fittings without the 45-degree on it. So this will just be flat, pretty much. It won't have the hole in there. And I've got a couple of those in the room, but yeah, I do prefer to have the 45-degree option just in case I want to do something fancy with the tubes. I want to go out on a 45-degree. I mean, with a 90, you still can bend it at a 45-degree anyway, but just having that option there for when you're draining the system, like when it comes to, say, draining a graphics card or something, if I have one of these 90-degree fittings underneath the graphics card with a port on it, and I can't get all of the liquid out through the reservoir just when I open the drain valve, then I can always open this port and catch it in a container or something like that. But we've also got some weird methods for draining as well. I'm sure a lot of people do this, but don't really say it. But sometimes what we'll do is we'll open the drain valve until some of the tubes up top become empty and there's a free port. And then I'll put a bit of soft tube on that free port and then we'll just blow into the system and force all of the water out. So that's pretty easy as well. And then, you know, after that, you just take out the components, give them a bit of a wash with distilled water. And yeah, that's pretty easy. Gaming Noob subscribed. Good on you, man. I asked you about this in the Patreon Discord, but what do you best recommend for dual radiator system in the Leon Lee drain port wise? Most effective ideas to mod the case. Golden Wolf, send me a message later on and I'll answer that question for you, mate. Is there a page for Pakistan? I'm not too sure, actually. I'm pretty sure there is. Are you an AMD fanboy or Intel? I just answered this before. I'm neither. I'll just use whatever has the best components out at the moment for my usage. And in this case, I like video editing and rendering, so I'll go for the higher core counts over the single core frequency speeds. I wanted to also show you guys how the C Pro fittings work. So let's go ahead and do that. So first of all, what you want to do is obviously you take apart your C Pro fitting. You've got the locking collar, so you put that over the tube first. Let's not spill any of that green stuff. You put the locking collar over the tube first, like so. Then you want to get the O-ring, which squeezes between the tube and the fitting part to create a seal right there. Then you want to put this locking, this collar over the tube, and it should insert pretty easy because we have deburred the edges of the tube. So now you've got that on there. And now make sure your tube is flat with this locking, with the collar right there. And then obviously your fitting is going to be inside the water block, and then you can, you know, just do it up pretty easy. So that's how you use the Thermaltake C Pro fittings. Just make sure that's nice and tight, and there you go. So yeah, one of the best fitting designs on the market, in my opinion, at the moment. I have the C Pro, but I've gotten to use them yet. Oh, you need to get them out. Have a play with them. They're pretty good. Thai modders versus, what does that say? Thai modders versus Aussie modders. Who will win? Probably the Thai ones. They're bloody crazy, those guys. Like they're on some next. I don't know what they put in their rice, but it's bloody crazy the stuff that they build. Insane. And they're all got CNC machines. Like they've all got these massive CNC machines, massive laser cutters that are bigger than my car. I don't know where they get that stuff from, but if ever there's a day when I can get my hands on that stuff, it's gonna be crazy. We'll be able to create some awesome stuff. No, come on, it's a joke. Corey, what's the... Hey, I'm saying they're better than us, okay, here down under. What's the specs of your first PC? My first PC was actually in a Thermaltake case. I can't remember the model of it, but we had a 3770K CPU. I think it was like 8 gigs of RAM and a GTX 780, I think it was. Back in the day, that was like 2013, 2014, something like that. But yeah, I actually bought that system just to play World of Warcraft. We were playing World of Warcraft back in the day, and then we switched to, we played a lot of Battlefield 4, and then we started on like Call of Duty, Battlefield and things like that. But I was heavily into World of Warcraft back then. Like I used to play it all the time, and yeah. But that game takes up so much time, and that's just time we don't have anymore. No, we're not playing WoW now. We don't have the time for that. Corey, go to BRM Laser Machines. They sell giant open bed and closed bed laser cutters for... Really? I'll have to check that out. BDO over WoW. Your first PC was much better than mine in 2020. Yes, I love Overwatch nowadays. I play a lot of Overwatch and a lot of Rocket League. And the reason for that is because like while I'm waiting for paint to dry when I'm doing a Thermaltake system on a custom graphics card backplate, I can just have a round of Overwatch or a round of Rocket League, you know, enjoy my time waiting for that paint to dry, and then we're good to go. A Pentium G... 4 gigs of RAM and no GPU. There we go. That's the way. Do you play PUBG? I played PUBG once. And then that's pretty much it. Corey, have you hydrated in the last half an hour? No, I haven't. I haven't at all. I think I've had 1 drink of water all day, maybe. See, the thing is, we just got home from work and then we set the stream up and now we're live streaming now. So, where do all the systems go after they're built? Actually, a lot of people don't, and I think this is why a lot of people think that modders are rich, right? A lot of the systems we build are either for clients or they get taken apart. So for us, we try and build 1 system per week, whether it be a modified case or a water-cooled PC. And you know, for 1 week, we can typically get a tiny bit of modding done, like maybe a custom power supply shroud or something like that, because we're still working a full-time job as well. So we work in the afternoons, pretty much when we get home until bedtime, we work on computers. So we'll do a water-cooled build. It'll take about 1 week. That includes the editing and filming part of it as well. And we'll get that out on YouTube. And then the next day, the build gets pulled apart and cleaned, and you know, so we can reuse parts for the next build. And that's how we're able to afford to do this, because we're just reusing parts. So that's pretty much how it works. Can confirm, cannot see water bottle. What do you prefer, air cooling or water cooling? I prefer water cooling any day. Every single PC I build is pretty much water cooled. Not because, I think for me, I like the aesthetics of water cooling, and for me, when I'm building a computer, aesthetics is just as important, if not more important, than the actual specs themselves. And to give you guys a bit of an idea, there was a Thermaltake build that I had built, I think it was last year or the year before. Had all Thermaltake gear in there, and I ended up using a Pentium GPU with a 1080 graphics card, I believe it was. The thing is though, the builds that we do are display PCs, so we're not actually gonna be using it. Now, obviously there's gonna be a huge bottleneck there between a Pentium and a 1080, but if it's just sitting there as a display system, it doesn't really matter. And that's where the aesthetics came before, you know, the hardware and everything like that. That, and of course, I didn't want to just go out and buy a new CPU to do a system that was going to be pulled apart the next day and, you know, waste 300 Australian dollars or whatever it cost for a CPU at that time. So, yeah. Oh man, so happy to see the TT fans just revamped my rig. By the way, guys, we're actually going to be giving away a pack of Thermaltake Ring Trio fans at the end of this stream. So hopefully you guys are paying attention. We've actually got a bit more to talk about. I want to take you guys over to some radiators and how to look about, you know, choosing which radiator you want for your system and what fans to use with them. At the moment so far, what I've shown you guys is how to bend some PETG tubing for those of you who have actually just came in. So what we did was we inserted the tube. What I personally like to do is I like to rotate it over the heat gun like so, but move it back and forth a tiny bit so that you're covering enough of the tube to account for the radius of the bend when you make it. Now you need that whole part of the tube heated up, because once you create that bend, if you don't have the whole tube heated up and you've just concentrated on one spot, you're gonna have flat spots in the tube once you make that bend. That's because you're stretching the tube, especially on the outside of the radius when you bend it. So yeah, that's what we've done so far. And then we touched on the Thermaltake C Pro fittings, about their design and why they're really good for water cooling. Pretty much this part, like you can take it apart, it separates into 3 separate sections. You can screw this into the water block and you can get the perfect tube length like that. And we've also showed you guys how to install the C Pro fitting. And then we talked about drain ports and what you can actually do in a system if you say have a 90 degree and you've forgotten to get a drain port. You can obviously just cap this off, or you can buy a drain port and have it sitting like that, and then you have your tube come out and go to the water block or wherever you want it to go, to the radiator. That's more for the pump reservoir combos that only have one port on them. So yeah, I thought it was a pretty handy thing for people to know, because I have seen a lot of people forget about that. So, you know, I guess just do your study on what fittings Thermaltake have, and then you can go ahead and buy what you need. I've actually still got that Pentium CPU as well, and I was thinking about using it in another build. Ring quad, those won't be given away. So we're giving away the Ring Trio fans. I can't give away these Ring Quad fans because at the moment we don't have many at all. We've only got like 2 packs, so we actually need both packs just to complete one system. When can I get a new controller? Can you do a building tutorial? We can do a build. So I spoke with Andy and I said, if we get a bit more heads up, we'll actually be able to get a PC on stream and show you guys how to build with Thermaltake water cooling. So maybe next time, if there's a spare slot, or season 3, or whenever it's free, we'll be able to do a bit of a tutorial on that. Let me go ahead and just clear some of this stuff off, and then what I'll do is I'll bring up the radiators now and we'll talk about them a tiny bit, because I know a lot of people are not going to know about the next stuff that I want to talk about radiators. So I'd love to touch on those a tiny bit and just give you guys some heads up about what to look for when purchasing fans and radiators. So let me just chuck all of this stuff down here. By the way, guys, like my background might look clean, but my floor, I need to dodge things on the ground. If your floor's not dirty, you're not a PC modder. If you're not stepping on tube shavings, you're not a PC modder. Yeah, we got someone organising a meetup in India. There we go. I'll be there in 2 days. So true. IFR makes choosing fans a breeze. Good one, man. Good one. All right, let me just put these on the floor. Hang on. And then I got a big cleanup to do after this stream as well. I had to move everything around to set this up. Okay, let me just get these tube shavings, put those in that bin. Rightio. Guys, pay pretty close attention here. Hint, hint. Nudge. So we've got the Thermaltake C360 Pacific radiator. It is a copper radiator, 360 millimeters long, so it's made for your 120 millimeter fans. 3 of them will fit on here. We've also got the Thermaltake Pacific CL360. Pretty much the same radiator, but this one's a bit thicker. But there's also a difference in design between these two, and I want to talk you guys through them. What I might do is actually cut these open while I'm here. Just cut them. These are actually brand new, pulled them off the shelves, so you get the fresh unboxing experience. There we go. We've got our all of our screws in that. We've got the lovely foam protection at the end. There we go. The premium radiator unboxing experience. So this one is, again, the Pacific C360 radiator. That fresh plastic smell. So as you can see, these all come with caps on the end. I do recommend just giving them a bit of a rinse before you do use them. So the C360 radiator, a lot of you guys, when you're building PCs, there's a couple of things that you want to look for when you want the most out of your cooling. And so this is a 360 radiator, but obviously the CL360 is going to be a thicker radiator. Let's actually unbox that first, and then we'll continue talking about it. Yeah, so we don't need that anymore. There we go. Perfect. Okay, so let's turn these side on, right? Now, obviously, this one's going to have more cooling potential because it is a lot thicker. It's actually like more than twice as thick as the C360. And this one's, yeah, going to have more cooling surface area. Now, the thing to look for in these is there's something called radiator FPI. And if I had a radiator this thick, another radiator this thick, this radiator has 14 FPI. And what FPI stands for is fins per inch. Now, the more fins per inch, the more surface area you potentially have for cooling as well. Now, this particular one has 14 fins per inch, 14 FPI. And 14 FPI is typically sort of mid-range static pressure sort of optimized radiator, which means you don't need very high static pressure fans to actually be able to cool this radiator down. You know, perfect fans for these. These have very good airflow and very good static pressure. Now, airflow fans would work really well in this because the fins aren't as dense as some other fins would be. This particular radiator has 17 FPI, 17 fins per inch, which means it's a lot denser than this one below. And what that means is if I had a radiator exactly the same thickness as this, but it was 14 FPI, this one actually has more cooling potential. But what that means is you need higher static pressure fans to be able to force the air through a denser fins. So yeah, so that's one thing to think of when purchasing fans and radiators. Now, the good thing about the Thermaltake Ring Trio, Ring Quad fans, they've got the exact same static pressure. It's actually pretty high, so it's going to work well on all of these radiators. typically, I'd say your average is probably around 16 to 14 FPI, average radiator FPI. And typically any fans will work with those. Your higher static pressure fan radiators, higher FPI, sorry, they typically need like higher static pressure fans. So luckily Thermaltake do have high static pressure fans, so they all work well. But yeah, it's just an extra way to get more cooling. But now, one thing you need to keep in mind is if you do get a high FPI radiator, you're going to be using higher static pressure fans. It's also probably going to create more noise because you need to run them a bit higher as well. But typically nowadays, all of the water cooling gear that's out nowadays are pretty good, and everything can run everything fine. So yeah, it's just a little extra knowledge for you guys about radiators and fans. A lot of people don't know about static pressure or FPI, so it's just one thing to look for, if you are in the market for some radiators. Let's see what we have over here. It's very thick. The fittings key used to tightening the flat part of the fitting is good to know as well. Seeing it when you open the... Oh yes, the fittings... good to point that out actually. So all of Thermaltake's radiators come with this fittings key right here, and you can actually use this to tighten up the ports on the radiator. So you'll see that the key itself will line up with the tabs on the port, and then you can, loosen, tighten, whatever you want to do. So that's also another handy thing to know, because a lot of people just skip past this. But yeah, what do you think about Thermaltake level 20 case? That case costs almost double. Which level 20 case? Do you mean the one with all of the different compartments, or the level 20 VT or XT? Which level 20 are you talking about? Do they come in white color radiators? I think they should make white color radiators. Actually, okay. Thermaltake, listen in. Hang on, can you show the 4 ports compared to 2? Oh yeah, so obviously a lot of the thicker radiators, and some of the thinner ones as well, also come with, so you've got 2 ports on one side and 2 ports on the other. So it also potentially could make for a good draining position, a good filling position. So yeah, there's also that with radiators to consider as well. Actually, speaking of radiators, you can actually get radiators with like a split fin design, and that's a whole nother story though. So, that's even more cooling potential right there. Thermaltake, Mr. Andy. So Thermaltake are big on water cooling, right? And I was just thinking of this the other day. So anyone who's buying hard tubing needs to bend their hard tubing, right? Which means that they need to purchase a heat gun. Why doesn't Thermaltake make their own heat gun? Because anyone who's buying water cooling gear needs a heat gun, which means heat guns would sell. If you can get a good quality heat gun that sells for, cheaper than, say, this Makita heat gun or whatever, people might actually buy it, a Thermaltake branded heat gun. I think that'd be pretty cool. Anyway, just the thought. RGB heat gun. Well, I mean, if you think about it, right, anyone who is buying hard tubing needs to bend it, and they're going to be using a heat gun. Now, obviously, a lot of people already have heat guns, but then there's people in the market who are doing hard tubing for the first time. They're going to need a heat gun. They're already on Thermaltake's website purchasing all of their products, so they're going to add a heat gun to their cart as well, if that option's there. It'd just be more convenient for them to do that rather than have to look elsewhere to buy a heat gun. But it is what it is. TT RGB heat gun. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. Just put a little badge on there. Big brain by IFR or something like that. That'd be good. I've learned a lot from seeing your tube bending tutorials, but how do you deal in cases where a tube bends? Oh, that's another thing I wanted to show you guys. Thank you very much for paying attention. That's perfect. I'm going to show you guys how to deal with more than 190-degree bend, because I get that a lot of time. Like, so they'll do their 90-degree bend and then they've got to do another 90-degree bend to come back into a port or something somewhere. So let me just grab the tube insert. I'll just chamfer the inside so it fits good. By the way, guys, I'm not just chucking all of the tubing stuff on the floor. I've got a bit of a bin down there, so a bit of a couple of pumps of this. Then we'll just insert the tube. Bent by IFR, water cooling edition. Designed by IFR. Oh, Andy, I've got to talk with you about something as well. I've got something very important. I don't want to spoil it in the chat, but there's something I really want to talk to you about to see if we can make happen, and I think it'll be pretty cool. Yeah, so I'll have a chat with you afterwards. Okay. So you've done one bend and you want to make this line up with, say, your CPU block, right? And you have to do another 90-degree bend. Say where's the fittings? Let's just grab the fittings for a second. Okay, so say you've got this is in your CPU block, and it lines up with the tube right there, okay? So we want the bend to come up around here. So I've got this marked, right? This is where it needs to come up to meet the fitting. Now, the thing is, if we bent right where my finger is right now, that's not going to work. It's actually going to bend a little further than the port, because if we heat that up, that's going to be the center of our radius of the bend. So the tube is actually going to end up out here. Now what we need to do, if the port is here, lined up with my finger, we need to move my finger back a tiny bit to account for the radius of the tube bend, right? Because if we bent it, that's where it would have bent, and then the tube is, another centimeter or so to the side. So if we move our finger to the side, we can even mark it with pen if you want. I do have a pen somewhere. Might be easier for you guys to see. Okay, so that blue texture right there, let's just say that is completely in line with the CPU block, right? Where we want it to bend into the fitting. We want to move our bend back probably to about there. Now the reason we want to move it back to there is because this will be the center of the radius of the bend, right? But we want the tube there. We want the end, we want the middle of the tube to be here. So we need to move back a tiny bit to start the bend. So if we start the bend right around there, then it should end up pretty perfect. It might be slightly out, but obviously you should have more tubes, and then you can just, do it again and account for that extra. You've got this as a guide now. But that's pretty much going to be very close. So if I do that bend, it should work out. Detergent, yeah, that's it. What is that liquid? It's dishwashing detergent, I think. Whatever Amelia put in here. Whatever Amelia put in this little thing here, that's what I'm using. And whatever it is, it works, so... Gaming vlogs. IFR isn't doing custom builds. No customer builds at the moment, sorry. Someone's doing a meetup in India. Do a Zoom? You want me to do a Zoom meeting with everyone? I mean, but like, couldn't I just do this? Like what we're doing now? Great tutorial. Thank you very much, man. How do you check for any leakage in the loop before pouring in the liquid? Well, first of all, I make sure that all of the fittings and the ports and everything are done up correctly. And you can either lay down paper towel and let it leak test for 24 hours. You jump start the 24 pin and only have the pump connected. So if there is a leak, then and it does go on any of your hardware, then you're not going to fry any components because there's no electricity going through them. So you can leak test that for 24 hours or however long you want to do it for. There is some air testers out there as well. You can pump pressure into the system. So either one of those is perfectly fine. I'll catch you later, Zen Mods. Catch you later, Ken. You're building a system in PC Building Simulator with TT. Very nice. Very nice. It's the EATX one, the biggest one, which have so many compartments with 3 tempered glass windows. That's a pretty cool case. You can do a lot with that case because of the different components. So yeah, my name is Corey. I run the Designs by IFR YouTube channel. You can actually see our YouTube channel in the description of this live stream. I'm off. Great stream. No worries, Richard. Yeah, guys, so we might, so I've gone through radiators, I've gone through tube bending and how to do that. Hopefully you guys understand about, you know, about just taking your bend back a tiny bit just so that it's here on there rather than here. Yeah, I think that's pretty much, we all good for the stream now. I think we've been streaming for 55 minutes, so pretty much an hour. Go through radiators, tube bending, fittings. IR Fan Gaming Vlogs. I think that's your name. Back for 10 minutes. Any homemade tools? Homemade tools. What do I have? I have made some tools before, but it was to connect a motor to a cogwheel. Because I didn't have the proper parts to do it, I made this tool where I could connect a motor to a cogwheel. And yeah, it worked out pretty cool. Love the complete white build. Okay, guys. Oh, I have a little dog here. Phoebe, come on. Come here, come here, come on. Oh. This is our little TT dog, Phoebe. Say hello, everyone. She's just been sleeping. Oh, you guys probably can't hear me properly because she's leaning on the mic. The stream just got better. Which PC do I use now? I have it's the gold one that's on the desk. Oh, you probably can't see it. She's too cute. She just woke up, Claire. Complete setup with monitors, mouse and keyboard. We actually want to start doing complete setups. The problem is we just don't have the room for it. So, yeah. All right. Bye, Phoebe. Jeez, for a little dog, she weighs a tiny bit. PC inside a dog kennel, that's it. That's it. And you know what? The PC could act like a bit of a heater in winter. That's smart, man. That's smart. Will you give away a PC sometime? I'm sure we will. All right, guys. So I've taught you guys how to bend tubes properly, radiators and everything. Let's go ahead and do a giveaway. I hope you guys were paying attention, especially when I said pay close attention. I'm going to ask you guys a question. And first person to answer the question is going to get themselves a pack of the 120 Ring Trio fans. So there's 3 fans inside. And yeah, so... All right, you guys ready? Who's ready? Hopefully you're paying attention, okay? All right, so the question is... Can anyone name the 2 radiator models that I showed on today's stream? This is worldwide. The 2 radiator models that I showed on stream. In fact, one of them showing right now. There we go. The Golden Wolf. The Golden Wolf, followed closely by PC Works. There we go. Mr. Andy's lagging. I think the Golden Wolf got it, Andy. So I think we'll make him the winner. The Golden Wolf, if you could send myself or Andy a message, probably me because you know where to contact me. Send me a message and we'll get your details and we'll organise for the Ring Trio fans to be shipped out to you. It may take a bit of time. It could take 1 to 2 months just because of COVID and everything like that. Just sorting out all of the logistics and everything like that. So, wow, said it before I heard you say it. So yeah, it may take 1 to 2 months or something like that. Just to sort out everything and then we get it shipped to you, but you will get it. And yeah, so send me a message and we'll get it to you. Anyway, guys, I hope you all enjoyed this stream. Thank you for having me, Thermaltake. We had some good fun. I've got to clean up this mess now. It's just what I want to do on a Friday afternoon. But we had good fun, so it's all good there. Thanks for watching, and our links are down below if you guys want to check out some of our builds that we do as well. Lots of Thermaltake builds if you guys are interested. You can see those in the description. We'll see you guys next time. Cheers, guys. Bye.